Hello students, welcome to your grade 12 geography. This is the 5th lesson of unit 4. Students, do you remember what you have learned in your last lesson? That is about the population theory and the factors for population distribution in Ethiopia. And finally, we have discussed the determinants of population change. So, let's continue today from this topic, the fertility, mortality, and the migration dynamics of population change in Ethiopia. Students, what is population change mean? Population change means when the certain population number is increasing, decreasing, or become constant. This nature is happen due to the factors of population dynamics. Population dynamics are 3. These are fertility, mortality, and migration. How these things change the population? Let's come to see these population determinants one by one. Fertility means simply births, and mortality means deaths. Migration is the movement of people from place to place. What are the changes happen between these 3 dynamics of population changes? For example, if you see the difference between fertility and mortality, we find the rate of natural increase. In short, the rate of natural increase is calculated by birth rate minus death rate. This can give us rate of natural increase. Another way, there is a balance between the people who move from one place to another and from another place to the one pointers. For example, if you take this point as an original place and certain people move from this one, we call it immigration. Letter E. But if people move from other place to this point, we call it immigration. Letter I. And there is a net balance between these 2 immigrations. The net balance between immigration rate and letter I, immigration rate, can give us net migration rate. Therefore, the balance between immigration, incoming and outgoing people is give us the net migration rate. Therefore, certain countries' population is changing due to these 3 factors. 3 of them have different sign. For example, birth rate has a positive sign. As you see from this one, the births plays a role in the positive side because it gives the population to be increased. In another way, death rate have a negative sign. That means if the number of death rate increase, the population become decrease. And the average value between these 2 can give us the rate of natural increase. In another way, Letter E, immigration rate, had a negative value or negative sign, and letter I have a positive sign. The balance between this positive and negative immigration rate can give us the net migration rate. And the general balance or the general change come between these two can give us growth rate. In short, growth rate is equals to birth rate minus days rate plus or minus net migration rate. Therefore, if you get these three things, you can calculate whether one country's population is increasing, decreasing, or constantly moving. Student, if this is a general hint for the change of population, let's see one by one these dynamics. The first dynamics of population change is fertility. Fertility refers to the occurrence of births in a given country or in a given region. This fertility has a measurements. That means the amount of births occurred in one country can be calculated or can be measured by using different formulas. The measurements of population fertility rate is made by crude birth rate or CBR. Another measure is general fertility rate, age-specific fertility rate, and total fertility rate. And these are very common measures of fertility. But how we calculate these measures of fertilities? The first one is crude birth rate. Student, why we said crude? And how we use crude birth rate in order to calculate one population number or the amount of fertility occurred in one society. The reason why we call it crude is this: the denominator of the formula includes the total populations. That means in this total population, there are young populations, there are adult population, and there are old age populations. These three populations have not the same amount of role in the amount of population fertility. For example, if you take the youth, they have a 0 role. That means their role is insignificant. The amount of fertility may increase from adult to old age. But when you come to the old age, specifically in the sex difference, women may have a low amount of role in the old age. But on the adult age, the amount of fertility may include. The reason why we say crude is due to this one. The total population is found in the denominator of the formula. When you come to the formula, crude birth rate can be calculated by using total live births divided by total mid-year population times 1000 times 1000. Therefore, after this formula, you may have kinds of, let it 70. If you get 70, what the meaning of these 70s? 70 means the amount of births occurred from a total population of 1000 in a given year. If you take a sample of 1000 people from a given area and in a certain time, if you calculate the crude birth rate of that population, the amount of births occurred is going to be 70. In short, 17 births occurred during that time. The second formula is general fertility rate. General fertility rate refers to the number of live births per woman of the productive age. In short, if you take a sample of women within an age of 50 to 49, how many amount of births occurred during that time? That can be calculated using general fertility rate or GFR. This is the formula. General fertility rate can be calculated total live births divided by total women with an age of 50 to 49 times 1000. Then, if you take an example, let it, you get 56. 56 implies from 1000 women within an age of 50 to 49 in a given time, 56 births occurred. In short, 56 is the amount of children that will be born from 1000 women within an age of 50 to 49. The third one is total fertility rate. Total fertility rate is simply a specific, but it refers to the amount of children that would be born from a single mother during her lifetime. This shows the capacity of one woman that she would may bear a child during her lifetime, or childbearing age, that is 50 to 49 years. The formula is 5 times the summation of Pi over Wi. This means divided by n is equals to 1. What these letters represent? Bi means the total live births in age groups. Age groups are this one. Students, to calculate the total fertility rate of one country, first you have to divide the population into age groups. As we have discussed in your last period or last session, age groups can be classified into 2, and you have to use the specific age categories, like this one, 50 to 90, 20 to 24, 25 to 29, and so on. Then what you are going to do? You have to take certain age groups and write it here. For example, if choice happened here or occurred here, 3, 4, 5, 3, maybe 1, 1. The summation replace. This summation shows you have to add these all age groups, or the amount of births occurred in these all age groups. Then you have to divide it to the amount of WI. WI means the total number of women in age groups. How many amount of populations may be found between these age groups? Finally, you will get like maybe 5. What does 5 mean here? 5 means the amount or the number of children that would be born from a single mother. The total number of children that would be one woman may have during her lifetime, in short. Students, by using this formula, we can talk about populations of Ethiopia's fertility difference. There are a level of fertility differences in Ethiopian context. For example, Ethiopia has a rapid population growth characterized by high level of fertility. This is a character of Ethiopia. According to the recent studies made by DHS, it indicates that the fertility level of Ethiopia's population is measured by, for example, total fertility rate. It's become 5.4. In general, in Ethiopia, 5.4 means one woman may bear almost 5 or 6 children during her lifetime. And general fertility rate study shows 179. This means from 1,000 women having an age of 50 to 49, we can get 179 births in Ethiopia. Another one is CBR, crude birth rate. The crude birth rate of Ethiopia is 35.7. As I have said, if you take randomly a total population of 1,000, 35 or 36 births may occur from that total population. So, using this amount of number, Ethiopia is the leading, or Ethiopia had the highest fertility level in the world. Students, if we see another differences, there is also significant variation of fertility level between urban and rural in Ethiopia. Fertility can be varied from urban to rural, from region to region, and from country to country in the world. So when we come to Ethiopia, fertility is higher in the rural areas in general. than the urban areas. This means high amount of births is occurred in the rural area than the urban. What is the evidence? The evidence is here. For example, the total fertility rate in the rural area of Ethiopia shows 6.0. This means one woman in the rural part of Ethiopia may have 6 children during her lifetime. And this amount of total fertility rate in the rural is almost 2 times of the urbans. In urban, the amount of total fertility rate is 2.4. That means urban women may have almost 2 or 3 children during their lifetime. Students, the total fertility rate for Ethiopia is, in general, is 5.4 children per woman. This means that the total number of children an Ethiopian woman would have by the end of her childbearing period or reproductive age is about 5.4 children, or 6 or 5 children. In Ethiopia, there is also substantial differentials of fertility among regions. Students, where do you find the highest fertility in Ethiopian region? This is the total fertility rate in Ethiopia. The total fertility rate in Ethiopia ranges from the 1.4 in Addis Ababa to the 6.2 in Oromia region. When we say this one, Oromia region had the highest total fertility rate and Addis Ababa the lowest total fertility rate. In another way, with the exception of Somali and the southern nation, the other regions have a lower fertility or total fertility rates than the average of Ethiopia. To talk about this one, let's see the graphic representation of total fertility rate in Ethiopian region. For example, in the urban, the amount of total fertility rate is going to be 6.0. The average of total fertility rate in Ethiopia is 5.4. Another way, when you come to the crude birth rate, the crude birth rate of Ethiopia show that in the urban region, crude birth rate is going to be 23.4, and in the rural one, it becomes 37.3. This means the total average of Ethiopian total crude birth rate is 35.7. In general, fertility rates are high in Ethiopia due to the following reasons. Why Ethiopia lead the world by amount of fertility? What are the reasons? There are some factors that you have to know. The reason behind of our country's highest fertility rate. The first reason is low level of family planning practice. And this is due to the lack of awareness and due to the religious beliefs. Awareness means here, most of our country's population may have a low amount of awareness in relation to the amount of fertility. In religious belief, there are certain religions which encourage people to bear more and more children. Another factor is early marriage, particularly in the female parts. This means if the female people start bearing a child at early time, they may have a large number of children during their lifetime. Another one is perception of high social and economic values of children. Students, this is the typical character of our country's situation. Our country's society assumes that children is like a gift from God, or they assume that children as an asset. They are proud of having many children. Another one is low social status of women. The social status shown here. One is the economic status. Another one is decision making. In short, our country's female peoples are dependent. This makes them to bear a child based on the feeling of the men, rather than by their own decision. So they are intended to have high number of children. Another reason is relatively high infant and child mortality rate, which leads the parent to produce larger number of offspring in compensation. What the implication of this one? This implies there is a large number of deaths in Ethiopia. So the parents have a fear of losing their children due to death. So they try to compensate death by bearing large number of children. Fear of death, in short. This plays a great role in the amount of large number of children in their parents. Students, this is all about the fertility, and let's we come to the opposite of fertility, which is death. Normally we call it mortality. Mortality is the occurrence of death. The amount of deaths occurred in one country can be measured. So, how we measure it? We need to have a measurement. The first measure of mortality is crude death rate. The second one is infant mortality rate. The third one is child mortality rate. The fourth one is under 5 mortality rate. The fifth one is maternal mortality rate. The sixth one is adult mortality rate. The seventh one is age-specific death rate. And finally, life expectancy. Students, how we use these formulas? Do you know how to calculate crude death rate? Here is the formula. In order to calculate crude death rate, you have to divide the total number of annual days divided by a total number of mid-year population times 1000. By using this formula, if you get 10, this means from 1000 total population, 10 amount or 10 diseases occurred without identifying their age groups or sex or other things. In general, 10 people are died from 1000. The second one is infant mortality rate. Student, from the measurements of days, infant mortality rate is a basic measurement because they implies the socio-economic and political structure or situation of one country. So it is the basic measurements of one country's death rate. How we calculate infant mortality rate? Infant mortality rate is calculated by total annual infant days divided by a total live births times 1000. Student, as you know, infant implies amount of births which are less than 1 year. According to the 2060 or 2016 Demographic and Health Survey results showed infant mortality rate in Ethiopia has decreased from 97 days per 1,000 live births in 2000 to 48 in 2060. This is a great change. This means the amount of infant mortality rate is decreasing from 2060 to 2000. The third one is maternal mortality rate. Maternal mortality rate is the days of mothers. Why the mothers are died and when? Most of the Ethiopian mothers died during the childbearing time and during their pregnancies. And we can calculate the maternal mortality rate by using the total maternal days due to birth completion or complication divided by total live births times 1000. By using this formula, you can find the amount of days of mothers in Ethiopia. Finally, life expectancy and natural rate of increase. Life expectancy in Ethiopia can be measured by World Bank and WHO. So, life expectancy is simply the number of age or the average number of years that a newly born baby is expected to live. This is all about the mortality. Next, we will discuss on the differentials of mortality in Ethiopia. Thank you for today. Bye.